Welcome to the 7th episode, I think it is, this season of, it's an ongoing season, our biggest win with Ken and Robby. That is Robby. I'm Ken Napzok. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my podcast feed. This right now is one of the things I enjoy doing the most because I get to check in with my friend Robby every month, and we share our biggest wins of the past few days, weeks, months, even your years. And we got a big one coming up. But first, Robby, just in general, how are you doing here today?
I am doing all right. I
All
have
right?
walked into this new year with trying to have a more positive attitude because I lost it for a while. I was very
Yeah.
frustrated by life and things, and I accept that. You got to lean into that sometimes. But now I'm like, okay, pick yourself up, dust yourself off.
You have every right to be in that spot, and I'm glad you're pulling yourself forward and making some changes. But for those that maybe just be joining, a year ago, almost to the day, we launched this podcast, and we had a great first episode, and you were about to go do something really cool, and you were really excited. You have a history of medical problems that you've dealt with in the last couple of years, and you were going to take some big wins. And then I didn't hear from you for a while. You were in the hospital. You almost died. You spent months there. So you've pushed through that. So any cynicism, any lack of joy, any negativity, I think is earned.
Oh, that's where I lived for a while,
It's good.
and then I got COVID over Christmas.
You
So
did, as did I. Oh, we're COVID
um,
siblings.
so
Look at
I was
that.
like, this year is just like it is just riding me all the way to the end. And um, but but okay, next. Okay, gentle reminder. Speaking of COVID,
Yeah.
I don't care what your not you. I'm talking to the audience.
Okay.
I don't care what your politics are. I don't care, how you feel about one way or the other. But like, it still exists. Things are still going on. Be smart,
Yeah.
even if you've been
Yeah.
vaccinated. Just because obviously I didn't think I was. And this is the second holiday I got it. The first time was Thanksgiving of 2022,
Mm.
I think.
Yeah.
No, 21, and then um, Christmas of 23.
There you go. Yeah, this is my first time, and mine was Thanksgiving heading into the Christmas season, and yeah, first time for me. And yeah, I know the numbers are still out there, and they spike, and it's probably something we'll have to live with, and maybe live with for a while. But yeah, it's I understand it just in a general sense of the apathy towards it. But yeah, there's those moments. I still wear a mask on a plane, but I don't wear it a lot of other spots. And there's still those moments where I look over my shoulder at myself and I'm like, what are we doing here? Like,
Well,
and
it's not me. I'm just never celebrating any holiday again. Easter is
that's fair.
off the table.
That's kind of what got me too. Yeah, well, and it's maybe for me, I'm not in a dangerous spot if I contract it, um, like other people are. Maybe even you included. My immunity's solid and relatively healthy, but it knocked me out for 10 days, and I lost a job. I lost a paying gig. I almost lost a really cool opportunity of hosting a panel. Um, it'll floor you in a lot of different ways. So
Well, the first time I had it, unfortunately, I was down for the count for several weeks.
yeah,
Fortunately, this time around, it was probably 5 or 6 days of just being gross, and I'm thankful because because it was sort of bumping right up against all the wonderful activities I've had, and I thought if I have to cancel all of this stuff again for the second time.
yes. Yes, and we're going to get to that. That is your win. The point of this show, the point of you and I gathering, is like I said, we share our biggest wins, and we're going to spend most of the time on yours today, Robby. I'll tell you that right now. As I said in the Patreon pre-roll, that's right. If you support me at patreon.com/KenNapzok, you get shows like this and the blathering with a extra 10 minutes or so of broadcasting, the Patreon pre-roll. Check that out. Uh, uh, I said in the pre-roll, this I'm going to lean on you, Robby. I'm not in a good spot. I'm not in a good headspace. I'm not in a good physical space. I'm down and out, and the year started solid. I always say, hey, things might not be well, but the mood's good. The mood's not good. I've been down for a week now with a chronic back injury that flared up. Because I'll tell you, it flared up because I sat on the edge of my couch while I fixed my new router for the internet I had to upgrade. And I was couch ridden for 2 3 days. It hurts to sleep. It hurts, and I can't afford chiropractor right now. I can't afford acupuncture. I lost my medical insurance. I am flat. I'm steamrolled. I'm like Christopher Lloyd's character, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, getting run over by a steamroller. And so I got to find what that win is. And I was even going to ask you. I often try to do the caveats. I try to do make sure my perspective's in the right spot and put that perspective in there of, far worse situations in the world. I'm not, a Palestinian on the streets of Gaza trying to find my way forward. I'm not a Ukrainian soldier fighting for the survival of his country. I'm not any of that stuff. But we can't overlook our problems. And as someone, you, Robby, you've been on death's door. We just don't need to hide that. You've been on death's door with the conditions and stuff you deal with going on beside you. I'm not there, but I'm so run over right now that I'm like,
everybody's got their unexpected ostomy bag. Let's just say that.
You're saying I have a shit bag of life,
and you won't know what I'm talking about. Yes. Everybody's got one. So.
What were the days where you were like, "F it, I'm gonna give up"? Like how many of those days were there in the beginning, and how did they start to lose ground?
Probably from I was so medicated and just so completely drained of everything. The first few months that thankfully I don't remember most of it. But from the time I actually had my ostomy surgery and the heart surgery, till probably about, I want to say Thanksgiving, I was just like, fake it till you make it. And I was not faking it very well. It's the longest I've gone through a phase of, I don't know if I can dig myself out of this one.
Right.
Because and I know a lot of people have their own experiences with different things and whatnot, but when everything in your life changes, and you understand this, it's enough to get upset or work your way through one thing. It's another thing to work your way through not having the health you had before, whatever state it was, not having the freedom that you had before. I lost my driver's license medically. I gave up my house because living alone was no longer safe. All I have done is go to doctor's appointments, struggle with trying to adapt to the new body I have and all the new things, take a ton of medication, watch anime, which I have not done in 46 years. I've never watched anime, and talk to you and talk to my friends. But it was just like, I don't have a life. And part of me was giving into that and not, instead of saying, okay, well, this is the list of what I can't do. What can I do? And that's where this year comes in. Because I finally got my head out of my ass. Can I say that?
You can. They could. I don't care if they demonetize me for that. They won't. Yeah, I like that perspective of what can I do. There's a lot of things I'm facing right now, career-wise, where I'm like, I can't do that right now, and it's not a self-loathing. I don't have the skills. Like that's not. I can't keep doing that, or I can't try that, or I can't take that risk, or I don't know. There's no money coming in. Like, what do we do? And so maybe identifying what can I do? What can I do? I like that thought. I overlook those things sometimes, and it's easy to do.
Yeah, it is. There's just so much stuff going on in the world and with everybody that it's, and sometimes you don't want to, sometimes you just need to swim in it.
Yeah. I think you need to swim. For me, I think and that might be my biggest win this week. And don't worry, folks, this is going to get happier, because Robby's going to, for once, bring in the happiness.
At least for me, it might depress the hell out of all you people.
No. They're cheering for you. Yeah, I think maybe my win this week is kind of reaching the bottom in a lot of ways, and going that I've got to find a different way forward or a tweaked way forward. I'm not leaving. I'm not stopping Force Center or doing that. I know I can do that stuff, but what I've been doing hasn't been working to the point where I'm just buried. And I think that's my win. Is I've faced with a little bit of tears and a little bit of a breakdown. I've faced that this isn't working, and that means I could build something new.
Well,
And I'm speaking in
it,
generalities because it's not about
no,
this show, that show, or what I do. It's just my creative and
life.
professional
Yeah,
life. It's
yeah.
not.
It, when
It's
when
not
when
working.
pressed up against a wall, you know, sometimes you have to be shoved down and knocked around to make yourself go, okay, what's next?
It sounds like you're saying life is like a Chubbawamba song.
It,
We all get knocked down, we get back up again. Though ironically, that was the only song they put out there that was kind of like that. They were an anarchist band from the UK, and that
did
was
you ever,
almost a song.
did you play that all the time?
We play, yeah, my end the very end of my radio career in my hometown. I should say end of my career. I'm doing it now, but that was I remember the single. I don't even know if I don't even think the album had come out. We had the single CD sent out from the record company, and we played the hell out of that, and I like it.
I remember that and Love Fool. Was it Love Fool from Romeo and Juliet?
Cardigans, Cardigans, Loveful. Nina Pearson is one of my all time music crushes, like Hall of Fame music crush.
There's that, and I know I'm going to upset a lot of people. There's a whole era of music where I'm like, oh,
Why? What hurts about it for you?
well, just because it's probably because it's such a specific time in my life.
Yeah.
And, nobody wants to, you know, oh, Chumbawamba. That's when I messed around on my boyfriend.
Okay. Well,
Every time I hear that song, I'm like, I'm a heel. Or
okay.
Love Fool, or what was that other song? Oh, everybody was obsessed with the chorus.
The chords? Or-
Chorus.
Oh, the chorus. I love the chorus. Yeah,
I,
yeah, that was our
I'm such an 80s pop boy that all of that, like,
yes.
different, like, 90s, the alternative music. I mean, all my friends were into alternative music and alternative rock. And I tried to, but I was just like, take that flannel off and take a shower. Jesus Christ. And so that made me, on an island
Yeah.
of one. And I have literally just offended half of your audience with that.
No,
Because
no, 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 no. Look,
I know,
yeah.
I know Trey is like, why is he making fun of my flannels?
No, no, he's busy building fences. He's okay. No, it's funny that era too though. The 80s, which were only 10 years behind, it wasn't like ancient history, but it felt like another era. And we used to go out our way to
So
like
different.
not play the 80s pop. Like it
Right?
was a joke to us there at the rock station, which is silly because I love all the songs now. It's amazing if I hear like, and it's not what you're talking about, but if I hear like Dexy's Midnight Runners, I hated that song at the radio station. Make fun of it, make fun of their overalls in the video.
Mm.
That song comes on at a wedding. I'm gonna break my back dancing to it.
See, I like when they mix things up, like Ani DeFranco, who's from Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
So we were really into her here because I've lived here since I was in high school. She did a cover of Prince's song that Cyndi Lauper covered called "When You Were Mine."
Yeah,
That brought me joy.
love that.
You
Yeah,
know,
Ani DeFranco's
and
great.
Madonna signed Alanis Morissette. That brought me joy. Sinead O'Connor brought me joy. But like all these,
Absolutely.
like Hootie and the Blowfish, who?
Say
Although
it.
I did,
Say it.
we were
Say it.
supposed to go see Counting Crows, and this is
Okay.
back in like the mid '90s, and
Yeah.
they had to cancel because their lead singer was sick. And Wallflowers, when One Headlight had just come out,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were the opening act. So instead of canceling, and because they were there, because they did not cancel the show, they did not announce Counting Crows weren't there until everybody was already there.
Oh no.
Uh, uh, Wallflowers played for 3.5 hours, and it was amazing.
The- that story ended in a place I didn't think you'd take it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I like the Wallflowers.
And I thought,
Wallflowers
okay,
Counting
Jacob
Crows.
Dylan, I
Yeah.
could love you.
He's a
in a
pretty boy.
special Robbie-like way.
He's got those. He's got those lips. I was gonna call him those Bob Dylan lips, but even that's not accurate. He doesn't look like his. That's probably where his mom
No,
contributed to the lips, right? Wasn't she a
his
model? It sounds
his
like
dad
they're
scares
always
me
models.
though. His
Yeah,
dad scares me. I love Bob. I mean, I love Bob Dylan's work. I used to be
yeah,
respected and admired, but he's also kind of like that crazy great uncle that you don't like.
yeah, 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 yeah,
He's
yeah.
going to mumble his way through an alcoholic, fit.
He's doing his thing. So, anyways, that's where I'm at. That is my life. That is the win. Just trying to survive, and I don't want. This isn't a woe is me, and I don't need anyone to worry about me. And this has kind of been my state of being for a while. I think, Robbie, I love the things I've accomplished in the last few years. Got the comedy album out. I got the music with the Moon Agers out. We got more on the way. I think I've done some of my favorite things in my life. I just I do think I've been driftwood bobbing up and down on the water for far too long, and maybe that's the next big change. I don't even know what that means. I don't know what it means. I just know this isn't working.
I
Is that too
understand.
depressing? Is that too
No,
depressing? I feel
no,
like I've caught you in a buzzsaw.
no, 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 no,
We're
no,
yin and
because
yang today.
I think that, again, start of a new year, and everyone makes resolutions that they never keep.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
Mm-hmm.
most people are kind of, in that position of, feeling restless and feeling like
Right.
here we are. So again, what's
Yeah.
next? And I
What's
think
next?
that's I think that talking about it actually is helpful to other people because not
Mm-hmm.
talking about it doesn't solve the problem. You got to
Yeah.
recognize where you are to get where you're going. I just turned into Oprah, but you know what I mean. And that ties
He's
into what I'm going to be talking about later. So
you are okay. Okay. I got to do this weird
very
half
shocked.
stand, half sit thing. Um, thank you to the podcast listeners. My podcast feed is now in its 12th broadcast season. And the blathering, all that stuff will continue in some form. But that's crazy to me that there's some folks, Robbie, have been listening to me since like 2012.
Yeah.
You fools. You fools.
You
Uh,
have great content.
in
I'm
what
gonna
way?
do that thing where I make you turn red and blush. But I remember the first thing I heard was Saturday Night Napzok,
Oh, yeah.
which I liked a lot and
Yeah.
I miss terribly
I do
because
too. Yeah.
all the characters you created are so iconic.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember the afternoons with Josh,
Mm-hmm.
and I got into Force Center and all these things. There's just so many different layers to who you are, and the stuff you're doing with the music and the comedy album, and I just think that it's
It's,
really kind of
yeah.
fantastic. You're
No,
multifaceted. You're a hyphenate.
I'm a
Don't
hyphenate,
forget that.
a Renaissance man, but that doesn't, it's not a Renaissance time, might be the issue. But I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. I appreciate
Yeah.
you. And more so than my sad tales this week, Robbie, we really do need to get to what you did. And I'm going to reset it again. Again, this show is our biggest win, which means we acknowledge that we both have things going on that are bad. The world's bad, but we always look for the light. We look for what's the win. But this is a win you're about to explain that does trace back to a year ago when you almost lost it all. But you were so close to experiencing kind of what you did now. But it's got to be, I don't know. I'll let you say it.
Well,
Robbie, what's your biggest win?
two things happened. So there's sort of two biggest wins. So for those of you who've been listening, you know that a year ago when I was sort of starting to deal with the health stuff, I thought things were going to be okay, and I thought I will do
Yeah,
something to have something to look forward to. So I
yeah,
got tickets to the Madonna Celebration tour at the end of 2022.
right.
Well, then everything completely fell apart, and I was not going to be able to go. And then, unfortunately, everything kind of fell apart with her around the same time.
Right,
So
right,
nobody
right.
was going to go. And it was just like, maybe this is a sign from somebody up there.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, well, after a year, and again, feeling like, you said driftwood. That's exactly how I
Mm,
felt this last year. I said, to hell with it. I'm going to go see her. So she was playing Detroit. My best friend from high school that I've known for 30 something years lives in Detroit. She's the mother of my godchildren. We've been close all this time. And
yeah.
so I said, we're going to Madonna. which is funny because I've not seen Madonna many times.
Right.
The only other time I've seen her was in 2012, and that was also in
Okay.
Detroit. And Shannon had gotten the tickets and surprised me.
Nice.
So this was
Nice.
she knew how much this meant, and so yeah. So I was
You got to do it.
yeah,
You,
I was walking on eggshells and terrified up until she took the stage between her and I because
who would break
you
down
know
first?
who's going to fall apart. And again, I don't drive anymore, so I flew, which
Right.
is a thing.
It's difficult.
I've
Yeah.
I've got certain conditions and things that are worrisome, but
Hmm.
everything worked out. Yeah, I mean the trip was not without incident,
Mm.
but I going back to that, I started to get upset at one point because I thought, can I just go a day without having some sort of issue with, you know, an apparatus or the
Yeah.
way I
Yeah.
feel or the meds I'm on or just, it being 5 degrees the entire time I was there.
Right.
When
Right.
it's warmer in Rochester, New York, that it's the sign of the apocalypse
That's
because
something
it was a
true.
whole
Yeah.
25 here.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
but I relaxed and I visited with my friend. And so to get the show part out of the way,
Hmm. Look at you got on
merch.
merch.
Okay,
Merch.
fantastic show. And it was not promoting an album. It was promoting
Right.
4 decades
Just her.
of her being Madonna. It was an amazing show. It was unlike anything I'd seen before. It wasn't your typical Madonna show.
Okay.
And it has nothing to do with her age, but I think it has to do with some of the health problems that she'd experienced. And
Right. Right.
I think she's had a hip replacement and a knee replacement. So she wasn't bopping around the stage like she usually does.
Sure.
But
She's in her
the production
sixties, right?
value was, it was 65, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, but the dancers and the staging and the costumes and all the elements that made it theatrical more than made up for, her not, humping a
Yeah.
bed. Although there is a bed humping scene in this one, paying
Okay.
tribute to the 1991. Um,
Okay.
but it
That's
also
good.
meant that she took longer breaks and spoke more than she really has.
No,
Um,
that's that. Yeah.
I'm going to cough real quick and not do it on
Oh.
my.
All right. This is that's me.
Oh,
Good. You muted. I mute too. But tell me if I'm wrong, but that her having to talk more might facilitate a sort of deeper look back into what she was,
she
what
talked
she
about
accomplished.
when she went to New York, and and she kind of stumbled into the music industry because she went to be a dancer,
Right.
but she
Right.
was broke and she was homeless and she was anorexic and she was, you know, like not in a great place. And she'd given up a comfortable life in Detroit with her family to
Mm,
pursue her art. And she
mm,
struggled. And we forget that
mm.
she struggled because she's the queen of pop, but she was very
Yeah.
open about this and about how her dad said, if you're going to do this, I support you emotionally, but I'm not giving you a penny. And he didn't,
Mm,
but
mm.
at the same time, she's got 8 other siblings.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but her talking about that and the fact that we were in Detroit, which is where her hometown.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You
So,
forget. Yeah. I think she's so associated with New York,
right.
as she should be. But yeah.
And just her talking about the things that she learned from her family and the things she's learned from her children and the things she's learned from all of her experiences, good, bad, or indifferent. And
Mm-hmm.
and how, the stuff she experienced over the summer made her sort of look at things and go, you know, how do I work through this? And I had never
Yeah.
felt more seen by a pop icon.
Oh, really? That's great.
And it was just very emotional. But the thing that um, got me the most is her talking about, really having to finally acknowledge the fact that you have to acknowledge where you came from
Mm.
and the important things that you grew up with to really appreciate where you are today, good, bad, or
Yeah.
indifferent. And that made me realize that this was a great experience. So I don't think she'll tour again, honestly.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I got
Mm-hmm.
to see it. It was
Yeah.
fantastic. I loved going with my friend, but the most important thing is that I've known, and again, my friend's name is Shannon. I've known Shannon since freshman year in school. We have been
So
through
what?
everything together. We've been through relationships, marriages, divorces, children, family drama, loss,
Medical.
happiness, joy. And how lucky am I? Not a lot of people have friendships that last that long.
It's
It
hard.
seems to be an anomaly if you talk to people that
Yeah,
nowadays.
it's hard.
But the fact that I spent so much time again last year sort of lamenting everything I'd lost. And not to
Mm-hmm.
and I won't dismiss that because I lost a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things I didn't lose. And to
Mm.
have that and to turn to her in the middle of the show that we were both enjoying and that it was an amazing crowd, 20,000 people going nuts, and look her and say, how awesome is it that after all this time and everything we've been through, that we get to experience this together? When a year
Yeah.
ago or 2 years ago, I don't want to, get into her business, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
she's gone through some life changes. And, a year ago, we didn't know if I was still going to be here.
Yeah.
So to be able to
Literally.
sit there and, and
Mm-hmm.
and bawl our eyes out while Madonna singing "Live to Tell" from 1987 and you know Erotica from '92. She really covered all the bases. And again,
Yeah.
going back to what I said earlier about you hear certain things and you're like, where was I? So it felt like that for me, and it reminded me just exactly who the fuck I am. Excuse me, because
No.
I'd forgotten that. I'd forgotten who I was, and I'd forgotten just how powerful I am as an individual because we're
Mhm.
all powerful. We
No
sometimes
doubt.
just lose sight of
Yeah.
that. Okay,
I've.
I'm not gonna cry, but that's
Uh,
that's where that's where I'm
you're
at. So
you're
it was
you're
just I needed that. I
you're
needed
almost.
that
Yeah.
to remind me
Yeah. It's great.
of how precious life is because I'd forgotten that.
I know this is a perfect thing to hear. And I didn't know all this stuff you're talking about. Yeah, I didn't know who you were going with, and I didn't even know. Funny thing, I didn't even know where you were going. You were like, I can't record on this day, and then I sent you a text. Hey, are you going to record today? And you're like, idiot, I told you I'm gone. But you did not tell me where you went. You just said it was a special mission. I'll be honest.
I
There
think
was
I
a two
sent you a
percent.
video and you were probably like, "Oh, he went."
He went.
I think
I
that's how you found out.
That's how I found out. But when you initially said you were on a special mission, I thought for about 2% chance for about 20 seconds that you were actually going to fly out to where I live and knock on my door,
That
which
would be
would have been wonderful.
fantastic. I will tell you that privately, Franny and I have had conversations
Oh,
about
okay.
my impending future God help
Hmm.
you and grace visit.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. No,
and of course,
Francis
another
will
friend
bring
of
it.
mine had said you shouldn't do that to Ken or your friends and not tell them what's going on, even though you want to surprise them. Because the last time you're like, I can't talk, you were in the ICU unconscious. And I was like, oh, good.
Okay. That's the only thing with you. You should be able to keep the surprises you want to keep. But yes,
Right.
there is you've ever since I've known you, you've had some, we started speaking off social media and recording things. You were on one of my Patreon interview shows a long time ago. You've had medical issues, so that's not a surprise. But yeah, last year, I haven't heard from Robby in a while. Has
Right.
dark undertones. that
Right.
that so that's the other thing. But I'm no, and I
Am I
knew. Look,
having fun? Have I had a life crisis? Have I had sex with an inappropriate person?
yeah,
All of these things are possible.
or all of them connected. And you deserve this thing so much. And I once I knew where you were, I was excited. Couldn't wait to record this episode because I wanted to hear the joy. But even I thought of it just as what an accomplishment a year later to go to it. What a thrill because it's an artist that means so much to you. And even though you've seen her before, to see her at this point, and I love that, and I love that for you. I couldn't have imagined it was as deep as it. I mean, I'm not surprised it's deep. You're connected to this artist, but to have your
Right.
friend Shannon
But
there, to
it's
have all
such a
this stuff,
different way. Yeah. And I didn't,
yeah,
again, I didn't expect that either because it didn't, like I said, I was sitting
yeah,
there and it was just like,
yeah,
wow, this is giving me a lot to think about.
yeah.
Music
That's amazing.
brings the
Yeah,
people together, as Madonna would say.
yeah. No, I love that. I love hearing that story, and I think there's some powerful words that you in your story and what you've said, and I know it's if I may speak frankly about like the Madonna of it all, like I look at her the last couple of years, and I think there's been some times she's been beat up on by pop culture that I just don't. I get upset at. Now, I'm not a like a huge Madonna fan, but I of that era where now I'm protective of Madonna. And look, if someone says something stupid or does something stupid, or we were talking in the pre-show about some comics that have gone awry. I have no problem with that, but just she's had the audacity to age. She's had the audacity to keep going. She's had the audacity to make some decisions about her body that she's wanted to do, and she becomes like this. Her name comes up a lot now, right? Like, have you seen what Madonna did? And I've gotten really defensive, and she's a once in a generation artist who has not just paved the way, like built a lot of the things that so many other artists are playing around in, right? Like, and of course, the next generation is going to come up, and the next generation is going to be bigger and better. And I'm a huge Gaga fan, and you got Taylor Swift doing her Eras tour already,
Right.
and here's Madonna like, I got Eras, you got Eras, I got Eras.
Right.
Anyways, to get you to hear you describe that she, in a way, gets to experience this for herself, and maybe kind of push through all the BS out there. And not even reclaim her spot, but just be who she is.
2.5 hours of not thinking about her age, or if she's had work
or
done,
a hip,
or whether her last 5 albums have had the success of her early albums. It was just 2.5 hours of we were going to have a good time, and
2.5 hours of good time.
I mean, it was a long show, and as I'm sure people have heard, she starts late.
I've heard there's some. And again, I'm not here to defend every act of every artist in history. I want to make sure, but I heard there was an issue with her being like 3 hours late in shows. Was this the show?
That actually has not happened. What the issue is, and this is not me defending her because I believe people's time.
But tell me the truth.
So the tickets say that the show begins at 8:30. Typically, she does not go on until 10:30.
Okay.
Which means that you're not getting out until like 1.
Yeah.
Now, I understand for a lot of people that's like, maybe they don't know that because they're not advertising that. My issue with the complaints are that, first of all, I guess she's being sued in New York City from 2
She's
fans.
being sued, yeah.
And they're like, well, I had to go to work the next day. First of all, handle your business. Second of all, I agree it's an issue, but Madonna's not printing your ticket in her bathroom. Yeah. They're called Live Nation. Maybe they're the ones that need to be like, you know what? And the tickets do say the show begins at. It doesn't say Madonna's going on at 8:30. It says the show begins at 8:30, and there's a DJ and all of that.
Yeah.
I get both sides, but I just think that people like to run again because it's easy to slag off on her.
It is. That's my point. It is. And again, if there's any merit to those things, great. But like, just I had to go to work the next day. Like, who gives an F? You saw Madonna. Come on, you went to the Madonna show. Like,
it was a Monday night, but again, what is with this whole like everybody has to take care of me?
Handle it. But that's all the negative stuff.
That's something for you and Alden to talk about is the controversy in New York City.
We'll do it. We'll talk about it. Because my back literally feels as though a 40-pound weight is on part of my spine. I'm gonna look to start wrapping up the show, Robby. But this has been one of my favorites. This truly is the dawn of the new age. It took us a year to get to here. This was the show we were supposed to have a year ago. We've had some wonderful episodes since then, but this is like our seventh episode. We do this monthly. And I just want to say this has been the episode a lifetime in the making, and I'm happy to hear you guys.
It was a long rehearsal process.
A long rehearsal process indeed. All right, my friends. This is our biggest win with Ken and Robby, and I might be experiencing some losses, but I am overjoyed with Robby's win. And how are you doing out there? Let us know in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube. Comments are unfortunately a name in the game, but put a good one down there. And if you're listening on the podcast, thank you so much for supporting that podcast feed. You can support me on Patreon if you want at patreon.com/catnapzok. There's other places. Just go to my website,
Give a
catnapzok.com.
like and subscribe and tell your friends.
Give a like and subscribe
Oh,
and tell
did
the
I set
world.
the thing off on my computer?
What happened there? What happened? Suddenly, look. What's going? How does that work?
I have no idea.
For the audio listeners, I look down. I'm always looking to camera, and I look down, and Robby's got fireworks and stuff going on in his room.
Did my bag explode? Oh my God, everybody watch out.
And of course, we end on that. All right. We'll see you all. We'll see you next time here on our biggest win. Bye.